tomorrow, so it's nice to be here. I know there are some familiar faces. Um, we're standing up. Would it be better to sit down, maybe? What are you thinking? I don't know if you want to sit on sawdust or on the lawn or sleeping. But they're resting their legs. They're resting their legs, right, for getting ready for the run. So I know. How many of you are from the East Coast here? Anybody from the East Coast? Where are y'all from? Sorry, D.C. Connecticut. Okay, I was just in Connecticut 2 days ago. How about that? I was just flew out of New York City this weekend. What's that? Idaho. You're not ice. You're a Northwest guy.
Idaho too.
Idaho. Anybody else?
Spokane.
Seattle.
Idaho.
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 Welcome.
You say Spokane?
Welcome.
Welpinit. North of Spokane. New York. Whereabouts? Upstate. Cool.
South Carolina.
Oh boy, you're a Southern girl. Yes. Oh, okay, cool. Anyway, it's nice to know that you're from all over the place. I taught middle school for junior high for about 10 years, so I know what you're all about. I love this, you guys, your age group. I've taken kids to the Junior Olympics. This age group, I had 3 8th grade girls break 5 minutes for the mile. I coached junior high. I had 25 boys break 5 minutes a mile in the 8th grade, 7th grade. I don't know what it was. All we did was run and made running fun. But yet we were pretty competitive. We had large teams. We'd have 100 kids turn out for our cross-country team in middle school out of 700 kids in the school. So we pretty much dominated. We got the picture before the football team in our annual, which is, yeah, that's called respect. That's kind of my story. I started running when I was junior high. Then I went to high school, and I was 180th out of about 225 at the state cross-country meet my sophomore year in high school, so 180th. I was second man on the team, and we scored, 700 points at the state cross-country meet. I thought high score wins. I was a little slow upstairs. So, yeah, that was my introduction to running. I liked it, but I was clueless. We didn't have drills like we have today. Warm-up. What was a warm-up? What was posture? We had no clue what that meant. But what I did is have a pretty good coach, and he liked kids to run all year round. So we ran after cross-country, we ran all winter and all summer, spring and all summer. The next year cross-country, I got 18, so I went from 180 to 18. So we're getting better. Then the next year, I went from 180th to 18th to 7th, so a little bit better. And then I went to Oregon, and all the guys that beat me at the state meet, who went to college, I beat them. So I was kind of moved myself up to maybe number 1 over this 4-year window of time. And all it was pretty much running every day, keeping a journal. Anybody here? Who keeps a journal? Okay, quite a few hands. If you don't keep a journal, you might want to start creating a journal, right? Some good things to do, even as a young runner. Nice to know write things in there, like how did you feel, maybe how much sleep you got, how did your eating habits go, how do you feel, how did the workout go. So I think the journal, even at your age, is still something you want to start if you haven't started one already. It's a good thing to go back and look over a couple of years later, just to see your progression. So I kept a journal. But when I went to Oregon, eventually I would, at that time, there was a lot of great runners. Not that there isn't a lot of great runners now, but we just had a load of great runners. And eventually I met this guy named Steve Prefontaine. Some of you may know the name, a lot of you know the name, but maybe not everybody. Because you think about it, he's been gone for a long time. You guys weren't even born for sure. But he's kind of like maybe the Babe Ruth of our sport of running in America. I think he's probably the most important distance runner, iconic name for guy distance running anyway, in American history. What's interesting is he never got a medal in the Olympic Games. He's the most popular. It's kind of weird. But the other part of the story, and a lot of you know it, is he died young. He was killed in a car crash, not too far from here, down the road, a couple hours down in Eugene, Oregon, at the age of 24. And if I go back in his life earlier, he grew up in a little town called Coos Bay on the Oregon coast. He tried football, tried basketball, tried baseball, did all these things, and it just didn't work out for him. But he could run. Found running was what he was really good at. Probably a little bit like you guys. I'm hoping you guys love to run. Hopefully that's why you're at this camp. You love to run, but you also maybe love to compete. I see the name, the word elite on here, on your shirts. And pretty like to run, but even he wasn't amazing as a 7th grader or an 8th grader. By the time he was a 9th grader, he started to show promise. And as a sophomore in high school, he ran like about a 9:30, 2 mile, 3,200 meters, about a 4:30, 1,600 meters or mile as a high school sophomore. Then he had the big breakthrough. That was his junior year. Got down to 9:02 for 2 miles, about a 4:12 or so for the mile. And then his senior year, he went nuts. He broke the national high school record. He ran an 8:43, I think it was, 2 mile. He ran a 4:06 pure mile. And what's really weird is the next year, freshman year at University of Oregon, he was undefeated almost in everything he ever did except the last 2 cross-country meets. He lost the NC2A championships in New York City. Our New York young ladies here, we got a few New Yorkers here, at a place called Van Cortlandt Park. Van Cortlandt Park may be the most famous cross-country course in America. If Eugene, Oregon, especially the old Hayward Field, got to say it, the old Hayward Field. Anybody here ever run at Hayward Field?
I ran on the track.
Cool. Got a few hands. That is kind of the place you want to run. It's kind of like going to the Indianapolis 500. It's like going to Carnegie Hall. It's where rock star runners go to compete. Well, cross country rock star runners go to Van Cortlandt, New York City. And Prefontaine got 3rd there his first year. He would win the NC2A outdoor, and he would never lose another college race. And make the Olympic team 3 years out of high school, 21 years old. Some of you are going to probably see that race later in Munich, Germany. And then unfortunately, 3 years later, after that, he loses his life. And guys like me, his roommate in school, teammate, we can only tell you his story. Last year, if you were here, we talked, I read some stories, some things about Prefontaine. I can only tell you this. I love hanging around with people who make me better. And that was Steve Prefontaine. Or I always share that with my kids I coach. Hang around with people who are better runners, and don't be afraid to go out and do workouts with them, because they're going to make you better. I think I hope that makes sense. But that was Steve Prefontaine. We lived in a little trailer. Some of you might be heard of the trailer. It wasn't very big. A lot of poor people lived in that park, but I don't know, we just kind of like adopted all the poor people. He would eventually have a dog. After the Olympic Games, he came home and he was kind of a little bit lonely. He said, oh, well, man's best friend. Got a dog, named his dog Lobo, and that was kind of his best friend. I guess I became his second best friend after that. But what I learned from Steve was, is there anybody here worried too much before a race? Raise your hand.
Oh, I always do it.
Okay, cool. That's good. Because one of the things I learned from Steve, because I was a bit of a worrywart, I might lose too much sleep. I was one of those. Yeah, you're one of those too, right? Where you just start thinking about it, and you just all of a sudden you can't get any sleep, and you go, I need my sleep. I got a race tomorrow. And what Steve told me to do, some of you probably are good at this, others, is don't even think about the race when you go to bed. Anybody here not think about the race when you go to bed? Smart. And the reason I say you're smart is that at least you don't get the adrenaline rolling. You know, that because once your adrenaline start rolling, man, it's just hard to get to sleep. So if you can learn how to just lay down, quit thinking, and I know it takes a little time to practice that, but once you get it down, you'll learn that. Pre always told me, what are you worried about? It's just running. You're not landing this multi-million-dollar jet on an aircraft carrier low on fuel in a storm. He just said, it's running. So chill out. You'll run better if you chill out. So I want you to think about that one little piece of nugget. Work on relaxation. Easier said than done, but you can change a habit in 21 days. I think that's what I learned, that if you practice something over and over, it takes 21 days to change that habit. For those of us that have flown out from the East Coast, it's going to take us a few more days to get used to Pacific time, right? Because it's like 3 hours earlier. No, 3 hours. When you go you're probably tired about 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night because it's 10 o'clock back in New York.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. I get it. So, learning how to relax. Not thinking too much before you go to bed. And that's what once I learned that, I ran better. So that's a little skill that you can work on, okay, at your age. What else did I learn from him? I already knew commitment. I already knew that get out the door and go out and get the run in every day. I already knew that. But I think I just learned to have more things in life than just running. Pre was really good about having other things. He was very competitive. We didn't have all the games you guys have today. We didn't have cell phones. But there was an old game, air hockey. He loved air hockey. He hated losing at air hockey. He loved this. There was one of the first video games was called Pong. It was just like, it's like it's like playing, what do you call it? Ping pong. Pong. And he loved that game. Actually, it was kind of a fun game in the early days of video. There was a game called Frogger. So adults here probably, these guys are too young, but Bob Williams over there, he knows Frogger. Again, a video game. He loved it. He loved bowling and beating, but he always wanted to win. So I think it's good to have a little competitive spirit, as long as it's healthy. Whatever you do, be the best you can at whatever you're doing, playing cards, whatever it may be. So that was something I already knew anyway, but Pre wasn't very good at doing dives off diving boards or water skiing, but he did it. He looked really terrible. But he could hang on when the skis are off and he's being drugged by the rope. And he'd just be dragged through the water and he'd hang on for 20 minutes or so. Somehow survive. He was just tough. We always finished our workouts with 100 push-ups and 200 sit-ups every morning. We'd go out for a little morning run, and that was something we always did. So we had a good routine down for sit-ups and push-ups and things like that because we didn't know much about drills that you just learned today. So he was a master at doing his workouts, but also having fun on top of it. Never missed a day of school from K through 12. Never was tardy. Isn't that interesting?
Never sick?
Well, he was sick, but he had a record going. He liked records.
Okay.
I got to be honest with you. I never missed a day from K through 12 too, because I had a record. I said I never want to miss a day of school. So, and I taught school for 33 years, and I only missed one day in 33 years. Don't worry, I had some illnesses, but I had to keep the record going. I'm not suggesting you do that, but I like the attitude. That was kind of a Pre thing. He was also a clean freak. Anybody here clean freak? Raise your hand. Oh, it's a couple hands up. How many of you are dirty freaks? Come on, dirty freaks. Okay, at least you're honest. I love that. Most kids are dirty freaks. They know how to find their stuff. But your parents get mad at you maybe. Pre would make his bed first, did his own laundry. This is like when he's like 7 years old, 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old. We had this trailer. There would never be a dirty dish in the sink. So he was a clean freak. I think it's because his German mom, she was a clean freak. and I was a clean freak. Kind of weird. Pre did a couple things that were not so good. He drove his car too fast. And every time I was with him, I thought, oh, I know I'm going to die. Because he just drove fast. And every time a cop would start like Peter Pan, there was nobody like Michael Jordan. That's why Nike likes him. Yeah, it's because he still endures. In soccer, there was a guy named Pele. And if you watch videos of Pele, you go, wow, there's nobody like Pele in soccer. In hockey, there was a guy named Wayne Gretzky. And you have to watch the videos to say, whoa, there's nobody like Wayne Gretzky. Baseball, they're all probably on drugs, so we won't bring them up. I can't even tell you there's some characters, but man, there was some, my era, there was guys that I don't think were tainted with drugs. Guys like Willie Mays, a guy named Mickey Mantle. And these are legends from a long time ago, but they're iconic even today. So Prefontaine, if you went to the track and you watched him race, if you didn't even know anything about track or running, somehow you got mesmerized by him. Part of that was he would go out and run from the gun out to the front, and he wouldn't slow down. He was like a rabbit for himself. You've heard of rabbits in races where somebody goes slow? Your coach might even tell you, don't be the rabbit. Just follow, use your kick, life's good. Or take off with a couple, with 600 to go, because maybe you don't have a great kick, but at least maybe you can get a little edge early. Prefontaine would go out from the gun and dare people to go with him. And fans loved that. So I think that's it. I think it was his style of running, his charisma. He was the one that kind of got victory laps popular in the United States. I think he may have borrowed it. Europe probably did it, but he brought it back to the States. So at Hayward Field, Eugene, after his race, he'd come out, throw kisses to the crowd. And the crowd got connected. And they all, oh wow, it's like, I don't know, it just had to be there. And that's what made him different than any runner ever, and even since, there hasn't been one. I mean, Evan Jager's a great runner. To watch him in the steeplechase, he's running like almost, I don't know if he broke 8 yet, but he almost broke 8 when he fell down. Like he ran like 8:02 or something like that.
8 flat.
8 flat, which is an American record. And he's beautiful to watch. But Pre had that, whatever that is, and Bob knows because Bob watched him race. But he's a front runner. He dared you. He would connect with the crowd. He'd stick around for a couple hours afterwards signing autographs. He connected with you. You would love him. He'd go to clinics like this, camps like this, and all the little middle school kids say, wow, I want to be like Pre, kind of a thing. We'd run around Eugene. People would stop him and want his autograph on workouts. So he was a rock star. Another question. Yes? Pre's favorite distance. Pre's favorite distance was, I believe, the 5,000 meters, which is the one he ran in the Olympics. And remember, his strategy in the Olympics was to, no matter what the pace was, he was going to run the last 4 laps under 4 minutes. And if he could do that, he's going to win the gold medal. And I don't want to ruin the video because I think you're going to see it later. Some of you've seen it before, but it never gets old. And that was his strategy. And it was fast. And well, you might even, when you watch the video, start your watch, time the last 4 laps to see what happens. I always like that to have my athletes do that. Time the last 4 laps to see what happens. There's a couple movies on him, right? Anybody ever seen? Somebody seen Without Limits? Just want to remind you guys that Without Limits is probably 20% accurate. 25% accurate, okay? So a lot of Hollywood in this. So, but the guy who played him in that movie, a guy named Billy Crudup, awesome. He had the personality, he had his look, his style. He really did a great job acting Steve Prefontaine. The other movie was called Prefontaine. Anybody watch that? Okay, a few hands up on that one. It starred a guy named Jared Leto. Leto did a good job too, but the script made him a little tight, a little more or less free spirit. Credit played free spirit free. Leto played a little more intense free. Free wasn't really all that intense to game day. Okay. The movie that's accurate, 100% accurate, is called Fire on the Track. It's a documentary. It's about an hour long. Get it. Get on look up Fire on the Track. Get it. Add it to your motivational stuff that you need to watch periodically. Whenever you get in a rut, you're tired for running, you need something to inspire you, get it and watch it. That reminds me, one more nugget. What did we do on race day? And let's say we're racing at 3 in the afternoon at a track meet. We would go out for a shakeout in the morning. Probably 2 or 3 miles. And Pre would run it very fast. And I was wondering, why am I doing this? I got to race in about 6 hours. And we're going out, I felt like 5 flat pace for 3 miles. It wasn't that fast, but it was fast. And what's interesting is, I always got a PR despite that. It's weird. I could go up for that shakeout, it's a pretty fast shakeout, and I'd get my best time. So, whatever that was all about. The other thing that was really cool about it, it was about 2 hours before the race. We'd hop into his little convertible. He'd be putting his tunes on, and he'd be bopping his head, working his way to the stadium. The closer we got to Hayward Field, to the locker room area, the more he got silent, and he changed. He got game face, he got in the zone, and he couldn't even, if I said, hello, how you doing, Bree? He wouldn't even talk, he wouldn't even notice that, he wouldn't even hear me. He was in the zone. And that was kind of cool. So if you're looking for a nugget, make sure you have fun on game day. Don't be too serious. Don't be reading all these famous books and watching all these movies and getting so psyched up all day waiting. And then you wonder why when the race starts, you wonder why you're tired or you just lost it all. Try to keep busy. He would wash his car the morning of the race, vacuum, clean up, keep busy. His parents would come over and visit, and he would talk. But then once we got working our way to the stadium, a couple hours before the race, he got in the game mode. So it's something I want you to think about too. Don't turn it on too early. Don't turn it on too late, because you're all going to get the butterflies. How many of you get butterflies for a race? Good. I don't think there's a rock star out there, a musician or an actor, an actress who doesn't get butterflies. The guy who played me in the movie, Prefontaine, the director told me not to be on the set because he said the guy's too nervous playing me. I thought, ooh, that's cool. But I didn't know. I didn't know actors get nervous like that. So practice keeping busy, and then when the race starts to unfold, when you get closer, then you can get in your little mode. That makes sense. Because you really want to be relaxed, but the adrenaline's there, but you want to be relaxed when you're on the line. We learned at Oregon to be prepared for battle. Our coach, Bill Bowerman, who was co-founder of Nike, he wanted us to prepare for battle. So when you guys go to a cross-country meet, make sure you have the night before, you got your jersey ready, you got your shorts ready, you got what are you going to wear for shoes? What kind of terrain are you going to be running on? You need to wear a long spike because you're running in snow. You need to run no spike, maybe a flat with no spikes, or maybe little studs you put in there. If it's got a lot of cement. What if there's a lot of mud and cement? Ooh, balance that out. Practice going over the course to know what seems to be the best fit for you. But we at Oregon practiced having our arsenal of goods ready. So when we went to the battle, we were prepared. We weren't just physically prepared or mentally prepared, but we also had our arsenal of goods. Put your number on early enough, not at the last second, right? You know how nervous you are when you put your number on? Your parents put it on for you, or coach put it on for you. Generally, you have to put it on your own, yourself. You tie your shoes up double tied so they don't fall off. somebody step on you in a race. Anybody ever run a race with one shoe on? Yep. A couple hands down. I have. Anybody fall in a race? Guess what? Fall. Get right back up. Don't feel sorry for yourself. Get up, right back up. If one arm's broken, I don't know what to tell you. Okay. But get right back up. ASAP. There's a race you can watch on YouTube. And a guy named Lasse Viren in Finland won the Olympics, falling down. And I think he had about 8 laps left. He gets back up and he sets the Olympic record. He wins after falling. So get back up. Those are the things we would practice mentally and be ready to go. Pre was a master at that preparation. Okay. Another question before we ended up here. Anything? It's always hard to talk. Here we go. Question is, how did Prefontaine die? It was May. It was about May 30th. There was a guy that was singing songs at that time named Elton John. It was, at the time, the #1 song might have been called Rocket Man by Elton John. You may have heard of the singer Rocket Man. I don't know. It's still part popular. And that was the time. It was going to be a race. It was a Thursday night. It was in Eugene. And there was a bunch of athletes he invited over from Finland. And they ran in a series of races. And he was going to run against Lasse Viren, who beat him in the Olympic Games. You'll watch that video. And he wanted to take him on in his own town. Viren decided not to come. He said he's injured, but maybe didn't want to take Pre on in his hometown. So a guy named Frank Shorter. You've never heard of Frank? Some of you have, some of you haven't. I can only tell you this: he won the Olympic Games in the United States in the marathon. In the games that Prefontaine ran in Munich, Germany, and he's one of the greatest runners in American history. You need to know a little history of our sport. Frank Shorter was great. So Frank came into town, ran the race with Pre. Pre wins it, runs the fastest time in the world up until that time of that year. They had a post-meet party where all the parents came, all the Finns came, and Frank Shorter needed a ride back to a house he was staying at, so he hopped in Prefontaine's little convertible. He goes up to a park outside of Hayward Field area. If you ever go to Eugene, you need to go visit Hendricks Park and see the rock where Prefontaine was killed in an accident. Oh, you did? So you know where it is. Pre let Frank Shorter off. They talked a bit, then took off in his car. There was a song playing in his cassette. He played cassettes in cars back then. You don't even know what a cassette is. Tape. And the tape they found was "Take Me Home, Country Road" by a guy named John Denver. And so he's coming. They say he wasn't speeding. They checked the skid marks and it was definitely not speeding. But as he was coming around these S curves that are really narrow, his car hit a wall. He flips. He doesn't have a roll bar. It's a beautiful night, so the top was down. It's a convertible MG, little MG, and he got trapped underneath it, and he couldn't breathe. Nope. Single car accident. There was another car coming up and saw it, and then took off. They don't know if that other car drove him off. They don't know if Pre saw a deer or a raccoon or whatever. All the speculation. And he'd never. Oh, every once in a while he took a nap.
During the races.
Oh, he wouldn't take a nap during the race. So when he got tired in the race, oh, that's a good one. You know what he did? He focused on his form. He said, "I'm not going to think about being tired. I'm not going to think about how many more laps I have to go. I'm not going to think about how the people around me that look like they're fresher than I." He focused on himself and his form. And then he said, one more step. Or in a cross-country race, get one more. Go get one more. In his case, he was always out in front. He'd focus on the fans, how they would be rhythmic clapping. I don't know if you ever heard of rhythmic